station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
And Houston, this station, we have you loud and clear. We're ready for the event.
Houston ACR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Houston ACR. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Please stand by for opening remarks.
Hello, my name is Tom Staub, President and CEO of Junior Achievement of Chicago. At Junior Achievement, we inspire and prepare young people to succeed, and there is no better inspiration than having NASA astronauts from the International Space Station answering questions from our JA students. Let's start with the first question.
Hi, my name is Malaya Olivares, and my question is, what made you want to go into space?
Hey, Malaya, I dreamt of traveling into space since I was a small child like you. And I think it was a lot of things. I liked TV shows that talked about space travel. I liked reading books about space, but also in general about adventure and exploration. I like to explore. I grew up in a little village in the mountains. It's called Alps in Italy, and I liked to wander in the forests and explore with my friends, and I got a taste for adventure and exploration. And also growing up in a little village like that, there was very little light pollution, and so we had this beautiful night sky, and that just made me dream of traveling to space.
Hi, my name is Mila. My question is, how did you train to go into space?
Hey, that's a really good question. So when we get selected, we have a couple years, 2 years of very basic training where we go through and we learn about robotics and we learn how to do EVAs and we learn about all the systems that are here on the space station. We also have to learn the Russian language, and also in the U.S. we learn how to fly the T-38 jet fighters or jet aircraft. So those are all parts of the basic training, and then about a year and a half before assigned to the mission, and then we start doing specific training for this mission where we learn how to fly the spacecraft that brought us up here. In our case, it was the SpaceX Dragon named Freedom. And then we also learn about specific science that we'll be doing and different research that we'll be doing while we're up here on the space station.
Hi, my name is Raquel McCraven. My question is, if you didn't become an astronaut, what career would you have chosen?
Hey, Raquel. Yeah, it's an interesting question. And you know what? Most astronauts, I would say probably all astronauts, actually come from another career that they had to start with. So you usually don't just become an astronaut right out of school or out of college, but you have to, get started on some other career. And so in my case, I was a pilot in the Italian Air Force. And before that, I had studied engineering. So I imagine if I had not become an astronaut, I would probably still be a pilot today, or I don't know, or maybe I would have changed my path and maybe tried to steer myself back into engineering. It's really hard to say, but something like that, either aviation or some engineering type career.
Hi, my name is Zeth Peralta, and my question is, what is the biggest surprise about not having gravity in space?
Hey, Zeth, that's a really good question. So for me, one of the biggest surprises up here is I always thought of being in zero gravity as making things so much easier to do. And that's true when it comes to moving big objects around, because they're not heavy and you can just push them nice and easily and they just float, just like Samantha's doing. But it also makes some things harder. If you have a bag and you're trying to put something in it, it doesn't stay in there because you put it in and it just wants to float out. Or if you have a very full bag and you open it, everything just comes flying out of the bag. And or if you just let something go, and let it sit here, it'll stay there for a little while, but the air currents in the space station will then start taking it and it'll float away. And so it's very easy to lose things up here too. So I was most surprised by the fact that, yes, it makes some things easier, but it also makes some things harder up here.
My name is Miley, and my question is, what do you wish all people knew about space travel?
I think it would be great if a lot more people knew in general about the details of space travel and how it works and what are the things that make it possible and what are all the jobs and professions and people that work in the space community to make space travel possible. And I think that, the reason why I want that, or I would like that to be the case, is that I think the more people get interested and knowledgeable and hopefully also excited about spaceflight, the more energies and talents can be resourced to improve our abilities in space travel so that we can go further and further into the solar system and really able to exploit also the resources of other celestial bodies.
Hello, my name is Sofia Olivares, and my question is, how do your clothes in space protect you?
Hey, Sophia. So that's a good question. And so we have two basic kinds of spacesuits that we use up here. One is our launch and reentry suit, and so that's the one we travel in when we're going to and from the space station. That one serves to protect us, in case there's a fire or something on board the spacecraft. It protects us there, and then it also provides pressure in case there's a malfunction in the spacecraft where we start losing air. It allows us to breathe and survive in that kind of situation. But then we also have some suits that we go out, if we have to go outside and repair or install something on the space station, these are called EVA suits, or extravehicular activity suits, and we call them the EMU. And the EMU is basically like our own little spacesuit, because with it we're not connected to anything, and it has all the things that we need to survive. It contains all the air inside it, as well as protection from things like micrometeoroids and the extreme temperatures out there in space. So, when we're in the shadow, it gets really, really cold, but the suit keeps us warm. And then when we move into sunlight, it's really, really hot. And so that it then keeps us cool enough during that. So it has to be very, very flexible and very well designed. And these suits have done an amazing job of that over the years.
Hello, my name is Olivia, and my question is, how do you exercise in space, and what happens to your sweat when you do exercise?
Hey, Olivia. What an interesting question. We exercise every single day in space. It's really, really important, both to keep our strength, our muscles, and our endurance, but also for the health of our bones. The bones are like the structure of your body. It's the hard stuff in there beneath the muscles. And believe it or not, it's a living tissue. It keeps being destroyed and built. And on Earth, there is a balance. You destroy so much bone, you build so much bone, you keep more or less the same. But up here in space, because we are weightless, our muscles do not pull and push on our bones all the time like it happens on Earth. And so our body decides, hey, we might not need all that bone, let's save. And so we get rid of a lot of bone. And to prevent that, we work out every day. We do weightlifting and weightlessness, which sounds like wanting to, have an easy win, but we have a very special machine that makes it really hard. So we can do our squats and our deadlifts and our bench presses and work real hard like we would do with weights on the ground. And we also have a treadmill to run and a bike to bike without a seat. It's a really neat bike. Should look up an image. And what happens with sweat? Well, it doesn't fall down, obviously. It kind of tends to stick to your face. So you kind of have to, either let it evaporate, or if you sweat a lot, you might want to keep a washcloth near you and just wipe it off. And then we let our, wet towels or washcloths, we put them near a vent so the airflow dries them. And we recuperate, we recover all that water, all that moisture, and we turn it into potable water so nothing goes to waste.
My name is Anais, and I have a question for you. If possible, would you like to live in another planet?
Well, that's a good question. I would say I would love to go visit another planet, and I think there's a lot of things we can learn from going to other planets, and I think doing science and just learning about those planets and how they formed and how they evolved over years and years. But I love Earth. I think Earth is the most beautiful planet. It's obviously the only one we know of that has life on it right now, and it's our home. And so I would always want to come back to Earth, and it's my home, and it's something that I want to make sure that we take care of and that we preserve it.
My name is Chief. How is the Crispr or Cas9 system going to affect terraforming in the future?
Wow, that's a very intriguing perspective, Chief, I believe. It's interesting. I mean, in principle, using CRISPR, which is a gene editing tool, you could, for example, engineer microbes that might help you to turn the atmosphere of Mars into an atmosphere that we can breathe, which is obviously not the case now. Or you could, engineer microbes that thrive in the Martian soil and so can help with growing crops on Mars. So it's a very intriguing thought. It's obviously not an application of CRISPR that is in use now or in the near future, and it would probably need some time and some thought to fully mature, but it might be something very interesting for you to pursue. We actually have some interesting investigations around that topic. I think Farmer has been active with the Genes in Space project with, I understand is a student project, right? To investigate how DNA can repair itself when it's subject to damage due to radiation, which is obviously a very hot topic for space travel as well.
Hi, my name is Teresa McCraven. My question is, what is the strangest thing you've seen in space?
Hey, that's a really good question. So I think we get to see all kinds of beautiful things up here in space. Looking out the window, there's just some incredibly beautiful things as we look down at the Earth. We get to see the stars are just absolutely amazing. And then watching the moon as it rises and sets over the horizon. It's funny because the moon almost surprises you sometimes up here. But as far as something strange, I think one of the oddest things really is the way water behaves up here in space. And so I'll give you a quick little demonstration here. So when you see water, it'll just kind of free float like this. And you can make these big bubbles, and they'll just kind of float and hang around, and it looks like a big thing of Jell-O. But if it gets on something, then it makes a big old mess. Go ahead.
What it does on my hand.
Yep. There you go. So if you can see it on her hand, this is kind of like the sweat question we were asking earlier. It kind of sticks to your skin, and it doesn't really go anywhere because there's no gravity to pull it. And so it just kind of bobbles around in there. And so that's one of the strangest things I think that I've seen up here is the way that water behaves in zero gravity.
Hi, my name's Caitlin. My question is, what do you do for entertainment in space?
Kathleen, what do we do for entertainment? Well, first of all, as we mentioned before, we have this great view out of the window, so I think we all love to spend time at the windows and also take pictures so we can share the beauty of the planet with everyone. We also like to hang out together as a crew, especially on the weekend. We like to have very drawn-out dinners and spend a few hours together just having fun and relaxing after a week of hard work. And usually usually once a week we watch a movie together. We have part of our crew is Russian and part of our crew is American plus me. I'm Italian, and we usually alternate. One week we choose the movie, and one week our Russian colleagues choose the movie. So we also have a little bit of a cultural exchange there.
Hi, my name is Owen, and my question is, how big is the International Space Station?
Hey, Owen. The International Space Station is really big. To answer your question bluntly. So it is basically the size of a football field. So if you've ever been to a football game and you go from one end zone all the way to the other end zone, the International Space Station would fit nicely right inside of that. And that includes all of our solar arrays and all the parts of the space station that make it work. The actual living area of the space station is a little bit smaller, and it's the part right in the middle. And I've heard comparisons before that compare it to about the volume of a 3-bedroom house somewhere. So that's the area where we not only live, but we work as well. And so, all the things that we need to keep us alive are in there. But the space station, the nice thing is we've got lots of space because we're not just sealed to the floor with gravity. We can float up, and we've got all the space that's up near the ceiling as well everywhere we go. So we've got lots of space for all 7 of us to spread out and make ourselves at home.
Hi, my name is Eva, and my question is, how often do astronauts go into space?
Hey, Rita. It depends. I mean, in general, of course, we all spend a lot more time on the ground than we spend in space, and that's because, as we heard earlier, it takes a few years to prepare to go into space. But also, that there are many astronauts, and you also have to wait for your turn to have a chance to fly. So I would say, probably lucky people get a chance maybe every 4 years or so, and sometimes you have to wait a little bit longer. Like, this is my second flight, and my first one was 7 years ago.
On behalf of Junior Achievement of Chicago and our students, I want to thank our NASA astronauts for engaging with our students. We appreciate your time and your willingness to share your experiences. On behalf of all of us, we thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you. My brother used to be a teacher up in the Chicago area, so it's really a pleasure to get to speak with you. And those were some great questions from all of those students. So thank you so much for those questions, and take care and Godspeed.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communication.